Hi guys, welcome to our lighting demo. Our topic today is light diffusion, lighting softness, and texture. First of all, let's take a look at the 3-point lighting setup that we have right here. We have a 1K Baby Fresnel as our key, 650 Tweenie as our fill, and an Astra for backlight. As you can see, the 1K is blasting directly at our subject. It's hard light. You can see the very sharp and defined shadows. You can see the glare on the subject's skin tone. It's just not very pleasing visually. In a moment, we will make it better by introducing softness to the image, reducing the harsh shadows and glare. So first off, how do we make light softer? You probably have heard this before, but the more enlarged the light source is, the softer it gets. That means if you take the light and move it closer to your subject, the light will get softer. We, of course, will need to reduce the intensity of the light. This is not the most ideal way to do this, but your light direction will change. Notice how the shape of the shadow is different now. Maybe you'll get the light into the frame. Maybe the light is very hot. In our case here, the 1K Fresnel will get really hot very quickly. You could also, instead of shining the 1K directly to your subject, bounce it onto something like a bounce board or the wall. As you can see, the light is softer, but we're also losing intensity by bouncing it. Keep in mind that depending on the texture of your bounce board, the texture of light that comes back and hits your subject is going to be different. Another way to make your lighting softer is to diffuse it. That is, to shoot light through diffusions that will change the light's quality. This method, I would say, makes your lighting, and more specifically your diffusion level, easier to control. The first thing we think about when diffusing light is what kind of materials are we using for the diffusers. Diffusers come in all shapes and sizes. Each material interacts with light in a different way. They also vary when it comes to the amount of light they will cut. To rank them from the lightest to the heaviest, we have Hampshire Frost, quarter white diffusion or 251, Opal Frost, quarter grid cloth, half white diffusion or 250, half soft frost, full white diffusion or 216, half grid or light grid, bleached muslin, magic cloth. We will demonstrate here 2 kinds of diffusions to show how the look can differ material to material. This is Opal Frost. It softens your light, creating soft shadows. You can see the difference if you look at the edge of the shadows. Opal maintains beam shape and doesn't cut much light, around half a stop, so we have to compensate for that. Now we will change the diffusion material to 216. You can see that we've lost much more light. 216 will cut around 1.5 stops of light. And not only does it make your light a lot softer, it also spreads the light out much more. Notice the background. It's definitely more lit than before. If you're at home and don't have access to these materials, maybe curtains or shower curtains or baking sheet could work for you. I would suggest trying out different materials if you have them to make sure it works for your specific look. You can also stack layers of the diffusion materials together to achieve the effect you want. But note, you will have to compensate for the amount of light that they cut. In controlling the softness of your light, you will also need to note the distance of diffusion from your light and from your subject. The further away from the light your diffusion is, the softer your light is going to be. This light is about 6 feet away from our subject. And right now, the diffusion is just 1 foot away from the light. If we move it closer to our subject, look at how the shadow changes. It becomes softer. The light wraps around the subject a lot more. Essentially, as the light shines through the diffusion is going to become your enlarged light source. And again, you should treat it as a light source. Repositioning your diffusion will affect the direction of light that falls on your subject. So in conclusion, you might want hard light for very specific creative reasons, but you will see that most of the time, you will find yourself diffusing your light. Diffused light is generally more flattering, and it makes your subject look better since it smooths out the skin and to an extent hides blemishes. The shadows, again, become softer, and the eye light also will be larger. A thing to note when you diffuse light is that when you diffuse light, the beam angle will change, and most of the time it will spread out your light source. So you'll need to be able to control your light with things like flags, duvetine, etc. That is for another demo. Thanks everyone for watching. That's it for our lighting softness demo.